Welcome everybody to I'll Be Right Back, the show where we take a look at a horror movie, and we have a new Terrifier movie out in the cinemas, Peter, Terrifier 3, so we thought we'd go back and take a look at the original.
We've talked about this movie, in particular this character, lots and lots of times before, and I'd never watched any of the Terrifier movies. I didn't want to. This isn't my kind of horror. I'm not a big fan of gore. I prefer spookiness. Everything I'd heard about this movie turned us away from it. So I wasn't very happy when you said we had to watch it, to be honest.
I mean, we didn't have to.
You made me watch it. You made me.
I put a hacksaw to your neck and said, you're watching this movie.
To be nether regions, you dirty devil.
I've relentlessly shat on this movie for a long time. I saw it a year or so ago, really didn't enjoy it. I just thought it was mean-spirited. Barely a movie, I think is the phrase I used. It's just gross out. There's no story to it. The acting is crap. Upon a rewatch, I think a lot of those points still stand, but I enjoyed it a lot more. I watched it in the cinema with a crowd. We were laughing at like Art's kind of zany antics. A lot of the things that bothered me the first time on just didn't bother me again. So I think I was just in the right mood to watch it again. And yeah, it's kind of clicked for me, that kind of grindhouse style that they're going for with this. You know, I get it now.
I really enjoyed it. It totally threw us. I think you, as usual, James, are completely wrong on a few points.
Okay.
I don't think the acting in this is bad at all. When you
I don't think it's necessarily
not.
the acting. I think the script, you know, like the...
When you compare this to some of the other shite you've made we'll watch, the acting in this is Oscar worthy. Show me this against bloody Leprechaun and Warwick feckin' Davis. This is a masterpiece.
I disagree. I think the acting in Leprechaun is pretty
You're
good.
insane. That's just because you're Irish.
It might not even be the acting. It's just when you watch like two characters talking, they just don't sound like real people talking. It just sounds like actors reading a script. So like, I don't think that's necessarily the actor's fault.
You're not alone, because a lot of people said to me that 1 is rough, number 2 is much better, and you feel that there's a jump in quality and stuff like that. And I think that's true to an extent, but actually, if I'm being really honest, I think I probably enjoy 1 more than 2. There's a big scene in this, isn't there, which I'm sure we're going to get to, which involves a hacksaw and a young lady's foof. Lots of people had said to us it was like the most horrific thing they'd ever seen. And me being not a fan of gore, I was expecting to be absolutely kind of revolted from that. I don't think that was any worse than the stuff I've seen in the Saw franchise.
It's pretty bad. I think there's a sexual element to it that kind of puts it over the edge, you know? Like, it is one of the most grotesque, I think, kills to ever be put on screen. But we'll get to that later. So, a little bit of background about the movie. It's written, directed, and edited by Damien Leone. So he had a background in special effects, which, you know, the purpose of these movies, I think, is a showcase of that.
If that was the purpose, he absolutely excels, because I think some of the practical special effects in this movie are phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I could not fault it. I think the kills are awesome. I think the effects, like, there's not really one that stands out as bad. Everything looks meaty and bloody. You know, I think that's done to a T. So, yeah, absolutely incredible. Art was originated in a short film he directed called The Ninth Circle, and then he also had a Terrifier short film before debuting in a feature film called All Hallows Eve. So that's a anthology film. I think Art has one segment in it.
Yeah, I've not seen any of them, and I think when we were starting to talk about watching this, I asked around and people said don't bother. It's not necessary to watch them to understand and enjoy this movie.
I think having watched this, I want to go back and see more of like Art, just like even his sequences in that, because I enjoyed the character. The film was financed through crowdfunding, receiving a $35,000 budget. I think doing this on a $35,000 budget is a pretty stunning achievement.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it looks like big budget Hollywood effects, this. We've talked about this a lot in the past, James, with horror movies. When you rely on practical effects, even the shittiest practical effect looks better than CGI rubbish. And I think you feel that in this movie. It feels, like you said, meaty. It feels viscous. It looks real, which I think is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Just to get Art out of the way, star of the show, I think just a fantastic modern day villain character. He's very unsettling. He often zones in on one person and he'll just stare at them. Like, I think it's really creepy, and I think especially if we're women watching this, it'd be particularly unsettling. And the way he flips from like happy and silly to like angry and menacing, I thought was like expertly done as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love when he's doing his zany silly bits, like in the diner when he's trying to make them smile and things like that. I absolutely love that. And when the young girl kind of sits to try and take a photo with him, the fact that his eyes don't shift from the other girl, like you say, is really unsettling and very, very creepy.
Yeah, and then the splash of humor, like later with that character where he goes back and takes a selfie with her body, I thought was a great moment as well. He's played by David Howard Thornton, who described the character as, and I thought this was the perfect summary of it, an evil Mr. Bean. And I think that's such a perfect analogy for him, I think. The mime kind of element is a really interesting one. He's just gross. Like, he shits all over the diner. bathroom, like for no reason.
I don't have a big issue with that. I've done that in many a diner when they've served us bad food. Do you know what I mean?
Could have bought a slice of pizza at least if you're going to use the toilet.
Well, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
There's too much to put in one list, but I just have a few of the things I really love. I love how sometimes he just pulls a gun out and shoots somebody when he's just sick of like trying to hack at them or just annoyed at them. Like he'll just pull a gun out. I love that. I thought that was great.
So that totally threw me. That for me was brilliant because I went into this expecting a kind of a slasher kind of movie, and it's a bit like with the last Scream film, you know, seeing Ghostface with a shotgun. All of a sudden, see these guys pull guns. It was like, oh yeah, why does a slasher always just use a knife? Of course they're going to pull a gun if need be, you know?
Like a big laugh in the screening anyway. Like I think people weren't expecting it. A little bit of cannibalism there as well. As long as he eats people.
Yeah, that was a little bit odd, a little bit rough. And I guess this is all leading into the kind of the mythos of art and what he actually is and what, because I'm confused at this point as to what he's meant to represent. But the whole cannibalism thing was just like a different element that threw us completely. I wasn't expecting that side of things. I thought this was just a nutter killing people. And then it goes really dark, doesn't it?
Eating faces and eyeballs and stuff. It's just like ugh. The bit where he comes out on the tricycle I thought was great as well. Like, that was really funny. Where did he even get it, you know? When he wears the lady's body, he like skins her and puts it over himself, so he's just going around kind of in drag.
Did you see that twist coming? Because I didn't. When the body was on the floor, I didn't expect it to be him. So again, that was a good shock for me.
I knew from the first, like having seen it before, that it was, in my memory was that he like, there's a breastfeeding kind of bit, but I think I just imagined that. I think that feels where that scene is going to go when it's the cat lady and the baby doll. It feels like there's like a mother-son kind of thing, and that might be where that evolves to. But no, he just skins her entire front and walks around wearing it. I just think like David R. Thornton's like mannerisms there were just perfect, the way he's walking and everything. I thought that was just great. And the last little bit, just a small thing, but like there's a point where he's trying to get to Victoria through like a barn door and he's like honking a horn at her. I just thought it was really it was really funny as well. Like I like that he's obviously loving what he's doing, and I always think that just really comes off well when you see a character like this do that.
Absolutely. I think he's a psycho killer who's actually having fun with it. So if we look at some of what others, you know, like I said, Scream, you look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Jason to an extent, they're quite flat in terms of the walk around killing people. Maybe he's not Scream, that's a bad example. But this guy is loving every minute of it. He's dancing, he's having fun, he's enjoying his work.
So some of the other characters, and like Joe, it's a struggle to even call them characters. I think they're so shallow. But like Tara and Dawn, who are the two kind of young girls that like have the pizza in the diner and stuff. There's something about Tara I'm kind of drawn to. I don't know what it is, but I thought I like that character, and I was kind of surprised where halfway through the movie she gets killed. Like it does feel like the movie doesn't really know who the protagonist is. Dawn just doesn't react realistically, I think, to like she's there taking selfies with Arsh and shouting at him like, oh, come give me your number and stuff like that. I just thought like nobody's gonna act like that.
I don't know. This is two girls who are out in the town who appear drunk. She's obviously a very flirtatious individual. At this stage, I think it's just a guy dressed up for Halloween, don't they? They've not seen any murder or any monsters or anything like that.
I completely forgot it's Halloween, isn't it? Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it's Halloween. Yeah, so it's just like she's taking the piss, you know?
Mike the Fumigator. That's probably the worst performance in the film, I think. Like, just every line out of him was, I just could not buy it all.
I think you've been very critical of this film, James, considering some of the other stuff you love.
I've done a 180 on this, man. Like, I hated this movie before watching it, and now I'm like, no, this is really good, actually. I quite enjoy it.
It does feel, you're right. By no means is it art in terms of kind of performances. It feels low budget in terms of some of the acting talent at times. But there was no point, for me, it pulled us out of it. There was no point where I thought, Jesus, that's bad acting. Whereas some of the films we've watched on this show, please do go check out our back catalogue, I've literally had to kind of think, what the hell is this? The acting is so wooden, or the dialogue is so bad. And I just didn't feel that with this.
Watching it the second time, I thought I wasn't giving some of the acting enough credit, but I still think it's not great. But part of that might just be the script. Like, I think the script is very bare bones. Something about how it's shot, and like maybe even the sound equipment, the way that people don't have proper microphones. Like, this is very slapdash, low budget, you know, like all the money went into the effects, which is fair enough. That's what you want to do. So like, it's not entirely their fault, I think, but it comes off very staged and very kind of wooden. Yeah, the cat lady, I think probably the best performance in the movie. I think like she's a weird character. It's a weird character to have in this, like just a random. Is she in the building that is about to get bug bombed?
I think so. I think she's living in the basement or something, isn't she?
Because you would imagine like when you have a character who has that kind of a unique setup where like, oh, she has this baby doll and she thinks it's her baby, you would imagine there's like some kind of a tie in with Arsh there, where like Arsh maybe killed the kid beforehand or something. But not, she's just completely unrelated. I think a lot of this movie is just people stumbling into the situation rather than like there being any kind of connective tissue.
But James, we're from civilized parts of the world. This is set in America. Is this not just normal? Is it not just like, you know, random cat women in houses and stuff over there? I don't know. I've never explored bug bomb buildings, you know. Is the mad people living in the basement?
Fair enough. I know that people cook meth in there sometimes.
Exactly. You know, it's a different world, mate. It's a different world.
Victoria, who is Tara's sister, who kind of comes in the back half of the movie. Good performance as well. Very likable final girl, and I was really rooting for her to get away.
I was taken aback, mind, at the fact that pretty much everybody gets killed. I don't know why. I don't think I was expecting like all of the leading people to get bumped off. And then I know she survives kind of at the end, but I don't know. It shocked us that it was so brutal in terms of literally killing all of the main cast.
Like the twist of the movie is that Victoria is the woman.
Oh no, that's not a twist, James. I felt like that was telegraphed. I'd worked that out by the time we saw the character come back to save her. I kind of thought, yeah, there's going to be a link to that bit at the start.
Were you expecting Arsh to be supernatural? Because that's sort of the reveal, like when he shoots himself in the head.
At this stage, I am got fucking Scooby-Doo what's going on. Whether he's some kind of mystical demon, whether he was a bloke in a suit who's then somehow been resurrected. Why she's had her face ripped off, I get that, but why she's suddenly turned into like a psycho murderer as well. It did leave us with lots of questions, far more than your standard slasher. It gets a bit odd as the series goes on, from what I understand. I like that. I'm invested in the character of Art, so I want to know more about him and about the mythology, I guess, around him. Do you think he's some kind of demon or something, or do you think he's just a...
Not to jump too much into the second movie, but I think there seems to be some kind of a good versus evil kind of duel of the fates kind of thing that second one particularly sets up. So I assume he's some kind of a ancient evil demon thing. That's my assumption.
Because he takes a beating in this as well. Do you know what I mean? He takes a beating himself.
Yeah, you can hurt him. Like you can stab him and he feels it,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
But he gets back up, is my point. Do you know what I mean? He feels it and he winces and all the rest of it. But he keeps going. So it's like he's healing or something.
And he's not like super strong or anything as well.
Yeah.
Like I think he's just physically like a normal person. So yeah, maybe, who knows? Kills of the movie, just a barrel. I mean, there's quite a lot of them and they're super gruesome. The opening one, the eye gouge that Victoria does. Just like,
I hate an eye gouge. I hate
I hate eye stuff as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good with eye stuff.
The way they dig in the thumbs and the blood starts coming out, it's just like...
What?
The kind of diner worker who gets like his hand chopped off
good.
and stabbed in the face, that was great. The upside down saw, obviously horrendous, you know. Tara getting shot in the face. I like how it's just he does it once and then does it the second time and he just unloads the entire gun. It was great.
That kill surprised us. I don't know why, but I expected Tara to be with a girl at the end. So it did surprise us when he just shot her.
She's tied up, you figure she's going to get away somehow, and then he just kills her. Yeah. There's like a character, I think he's working for the fumigator guy, but he comes in randomly. He gets stabbed in the head and then a saw decapitation. I thought that was quite good as well. Yeah, the fumigator guy gets his head just squashed as well, just explodes.
I'm surprised he got back up, mind, after was it a hammer to the head?
He gets the blunt end of a hammer to the head.
I mean, still, it's kind of smart, like, it's kind of smart, that, isn't it?
We got better killed by the end anyway, so.
He did.
So, a little bit of trivia about the movie. The jack-o'-lantern shown in the pizza parlor is CGI. Director Damien Leone said he wanted the scene to have more of a Halloween feel to it, so he added it in post-production. I can't believe this movie has any CGI as well.
Didn't think that was CGI, man.
Didn't spot it.
That was good CGI.
I mean...
that was better than Marvel CGI.
Well, that's the thing.
She-Hulk needs to watch this. You know what I mean?
David Howard Thornton won the role of Art the Clown after miming tasting a beheaded victim's blood and adding salt to improve the flavour. So he did a little...
I like that.
I think that's a cool, yeah. Cool. I would be like, yeah, this is the guy, I think, you know. I think that's a really fun touch. And lastly, Thornton ad-libbed a moment of Art the Clown flipping off Victoria after she stabs his foot with the railroad spike. This made the crew laugh so much that director Damien Leone decided to keep it in. This happened in the raw footage, which was not technically part of the film, so actress Samantha Scafidi had to be digitally removed from the shot. So another CGI thing. That is one of my favourite scenes as well, where it's just so unexpected and off the cuff. Like, I think that's great. So the future of the franchise, Terrifier 2 obviously followed in 2022, so 6 years after the original one. As we said, it goes more into like a good versus evil. There's a proper story, and I think as well as that, I watched the first two back to back. I mean, you can tell there's more of a budget. Like the cameras are just nicer. Like it looks more like a film. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a pretty good one. And then Terrifier 3 is out. Christmas theme. Supposedly some horrific opening sequence. Like the most disgusting thing ever put to film. So I'm fascinated now.
Got to be kids, hasn't it? It's got to be kids. By the time of this video, people will probably have seen it, but I would imagine he's killing children.
I don't know if I can...
a step too far?
we'll see how we feel in the movie. You know, the second one has a 12-year-old getting his hand eaten, so like I suppose it's, you know, it's
it's
only a leap. And Terrifier 4 was just announced, so yeah, I mean there's no stopping this franchise.
He's becoming a bit of an icon then, isn't he?
We, you know, go to a horror convention every year in Manchester, and there's just Terrifier shit everywhere, and people love it. Like, people are just dying for it. I always understood the appeal of art, but like the films themselves, I was like, no. But now I'm like, yeah, I understand now. I think they're fun, they're super gory. You know, that's the highlight of it. I like some of the story stuff that they're setting up in the second one forward, you know, so I am actually excited now to see the third one. So any final thoughts on Terrifier?
Like I've said at the start, I didn't go into this in a good place. I didn't want to see it. I didn't really think it was going to be for me, and I was completely wrong. So if you're on the fence about watching this, I would recommend you do give it a watch. And I think you're right, James. I think, you know, it is mean-spirited towards women in particular. I think this movie, it feels quite abusive in some regards, but I guess horror's like that at some points. But yeah, it's worth a watch.
For me, I mean, yeah, like I said, a complete 180 on it. I think Art is just one of the best like villain characters. It's just so entertaining, so much fun. So like, yeah, I mean, watch it for him alone. The effects, incredible. Yeah, there's some low budgety crap in it. The acting's not great, and the cameras don't look great. You look at it as like a grindhouse horror film. I think it really works very well. So yeah, I'm digging it. Is it better than Willy's Wonderland?
Nothing's better than Willy. Howie, come on. Nicolas Cage would kick the living shit out of Art the Clown.
Imagine a crossover. I would kill to see it. Two silent protagonists.
Imagine Art's got Nick Cage strapped up, hung upside down, and he's going to put a hacksaw to his nether regions. Yeah, that
what would Cage be saying during that scene?
No!
Not the balls!
Don't do
not the
that.
balls!
Not the balls! Not the balls!
And that's I'll Be Right Back on Terrifier. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the channel. We do One Good Scare live every second Friday. And we'll be right back next time with...
I'm seeing something no one else can see except for me. It's smiling at me. Oh my God!
Never, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.